Hey Clashers, what's up? This is Priest214 and I'm going to be making a short video about base layout, the pros and cons of each defensive tower, and a couple other things. So bear with me, it's almost midnight and I'm kind of tired, so I might be stumbling over my words and whatnot. Alright, the first thing I want to cover is the clan castle. In my opinion, the clan castle is the most important defensive building in the game. And offensive too, because you get to use units for your raids, right? Okay, in this space here, I've made it so that the clan castles can't get triggered too easily. They have to sort of commit to a... Well, they need to at least send in one giant. I think if somebody sends in a giant right here, it will live long enough to enter that range. But if you have a lot of units, like I have 30 units available, so you'll only probably trigger like 5 archers at a time. Depending on what kind of units you have in there, it's not too bad. And there are two main reasons which I can think of why you would want your clan castle to be in the center of your base. Let's pretend like for example, if this clan castle was all the way over here, or on the edge somewhere, your opponent can attack around half of your base, or pretty much all of it, without triggering the clan castle at all. That white circle you see there is the trigger range. A lot of you players already know this, of course. I'm just going to be mentioning a couple of small points in case a beginner is watching this video. Okay, so that's the first reason, so that you can cover your whole base. Secondly, it's so that they can't trigger it too easily. If your clan castle is on the edge, they can just pop a unit down, get all the units to come out, and then deal with your clan castle units before they send in their main army. Which, of course, is how you should attack. As much as possible, you should trigger the clan castle. If I was attacking this base, I would probably send in 2 giants, suicide them, get all the units to come out, and in the process I'd also try to trigger the king and the queen. Bring them to a corner, deal with them, and then send in the main army. Yeah, so that's it for the clan castle. Just in case you might not know, if your clan castle is used in attacking, you lose all of your units regardless, right? If your clan castle is used defensively, all the units that survive the battle, they go back to your clan castle and you get to keep them. So, it's just something to keep in mind. I didn't know that until I reached like Town Hall 6 or something, so it might help some of you. Okay, that's it for town. That's it for the clan castle. God, my tongue is like numb from eating pineapple. So nasty. Okay, this next building that I'm going to be covering is the mortar. The mortar is pretty far range. It's got 11 range, so was it 11 or was it 14? I think it's 14. Yeah, the mortar has 12. Oh, God, I'm going to check. I don't believe I've been playing this game for like half a year and I still don't know. Okay, it's 11. It is 11. 4 to 11 tiles. So if see that red circle right there, that's it. That's the blind spot. That's where the mortar cannot shoot. So you can pop down archers and take out mortars if the mortar's on the outside without them shooting you. Mortars, they do good splash damage. They're not good against giants, golems. They do okay against hog riders, I guess, but they're mainly good against archers, barbarians, goblins, any other low hit point unit. I think the ones I have right now, they do, yeah, it says only 11 damage per second, but the splash is really big. And the way damage is calculated with all these buildings is, for example, if the mortar takes 5 seconds to attack, and if his damage per second is 11, then that means he does 55 damage. I'm not sure exactly how fast their attack rate is, but I think it's around 5 seconds, so that's a wild idea of what kind of damage it does. Yeah, so mortars, you want to keep them kind of in the back if possible because they do a lot of splash damage, especially in earlier levels. It's important that they survive for as long as possible. That way they can do a lot of splash damage and take out a lot of giants. Giants clump up, so they can't take out giants like quickly, but you get your money's worth hitting them. Another thing that you want to keep in the middle of your base as much as possible is air defense, in my opinion. Because air defense has a decent amount of range. It's got 10 tiles. Well, pretty much all of your towers have around 10 tiles, but it's a good amount of range. So against against dragons, they're good. Mass dragon attacks. You don't see them that often, but it's good against dragons. It's the main reason why I like having air defense is so that they can't go healers. Like, well, they can, but it makes it much harder for them to keep their healers alive. So yeah, that's another thing about air defense. Air defense is pretty cheap to upgrade, but it takes a long time. So if you don't have a lot of builders unlocked, then you might not want to put such a big priority on upgrading them. But other than that, I would prioritize mortars, air defense, and wizard towers. Wizard towers are also anti-air, and they do good splash damage, and they have a decent rate of attack. So I like to keep wizard towers next to storages, gold storages, elixir storages. I can show you the Smurf base I have right now. I have the same thing going on. I have the wizard towers near the gold storage and elixir storage. This is a compact base. It's a ring around the rosy base, which means the units will come in, they'll attack a tower, the giants that is, and then they'll just go around this big circle on the outside without getting to the middle part, which is kind of what I want to keep alive. So as soon as this wizard tower is finished, I'm going to move it right there. But it's just upgrading right now. So yeah, so that's it for wizard towers. They're decent anti-air. They do good against minions, against all the cheap units. They do good against archers, goblins, barbarians. Yeah, so keep those. Those three, I would say, are quite important to keep on the inside as much as you can. This base here has an interesting layout. It's made to be anti-hog, so they're not. It's not exactly like ideal against mass giant healer. But you have a compromise when you make bases. You can't have a base that's good against everything, so that's just something you'll learn as you go along. Okay, so that's wizard towers. Teslas. You don't get Teslas until later in the game, but they have a decent rate of fire, and they have a, look at that, 87 damage. Of course, this is a maxed out Tesla, but even when they're half upgraded, that means they do around 45. So these guys have, decent rate of fire, decent damage, and they do twice as much damage to P.E.K.K.A.s. I don't really think of the P.E.K.K.A. aspect when I place them. I don't really think like, oh, they do good damage against P.E.K.K.A.s. Like, it's not that often that people use P.E.K.K.A.s anyway, but it's a good bonus when they do use P.E.K.K.A.s. I just have these in the center right now. I don't know, like Teslas, there's a couple different ways you could use them. You could have a trap set up. You could have, for example, your town hall on the outside, make it look like your farming base, have 3 or 4 Teslas out there, and then as soon as they pop units down, they realize, oh, they can't snipe your base too easily. Most of the time they'll just use half of their army and get you anyway, but you might be able to get some trophies from that if they give up. Okay, Teslas. What range do they have? They have 7 tiles, so short range, but good damage. Okay, archer towers and cannons. Archer towers and cannons are, in my opinion, your first line of defense. These are the buildings that should be more or less on the front line. If you have a choice, depending on your base, I would put the archer towers a little bit more in rather than the cannons. The reason why is because they have longer range. So they have longer range, and they also have anti-air capabilities, right? They shoot air units, so as much as possible. And towers that shoot air, you want around the center. Towers that have large range, you also want around the center, because that just means they can cover a larger part of your base. Whereas if they're on the edge, they won't get as much real estate in your base as a cannon would. Like, look at that sphere. The archer tower covers about 1/5, maybe, of my base, 1/6. The cannon, on the other hand, only covers about 1/6 to 1/7, rough estimate. Okay, that's it for the defensive towers, I think. Oh yeah. Okay, so expos. Expos have really good range if they're in ground mode. They have, I think it was 14. Yeah, 14 range. If you put them in ground and air mode, then they have 11 range. They have a really good rate of fire. That's the biggest plus to an expo, is that they attack so fast that they can switch targets right away. So for example, if you have like 5 giants coming your way, a mortar will be like bam bam, it'll be shooting one, and even after like, for example, a giant already gets shot from another tower, a mortar might waste its shot because it takes so long to shoot and it takes so long for the projectile to actually hit that you won't even hit your target half the time, and it won't switch targets right away. Like, it won't start dealing damage to the next target. But X-bows have a really good rate of fire. So if there are 5 giants coming your way, and if they all had low health, for example, it would take out one, boom, they'll take out the next. They never miss, they never waste shots, hardly ever. So yeah, for that reason, X-bows should be like as close as possible to the center. These guys take priority over all other towers. Whether you want to put them in anti-air mode or not, it's really up to you. Preference, I guess. Depends. You got to balance your whole base, right? If you've got your air defenses on the outside, then yeah, you might want to put these on anti-air mode because your center is a little bit weaker. This one here should actually be in the middle. The only reason why it's there is because it's in the middle of being upgraded. Okay, and Inferno Towers, I don't have any Inferno Towers. They're unlocked on Town Hall level 10, but those also need to be very close to the middle if you can afford to do it. Town Halls, you know, if you're going for a farming base, then just leave it outside so that your shield gets triggered often. If not, you know, this is a hybrid base, so I switch it out with Laboratory. I only put the Laboratory in there as a space filler, really, but it's up to you. You can leave the Laboratory out, and you can put the air defenses a little bit closer to the middle, but I don't know, I think it's fine as is. Okay, so we've covered all of the defensive towers. Now let's go on to traps. Okay, bombs. Bombs are just, you know, they're cute little jokes, really. They don't do that much damage. When they're upgraded all the way, they look cute, but I don't know. I would say that the fact that they actually blast small units back, like goblins, archers, what else? Barbarians, they get blown back a little bit. So that buys you a little bit of time. It also spreads them out, which isn't so good if a mortar projectile is about to hit them, but they're good. They do decent damage if you have a whole bunch of them next to each other. I just put them in this choke point here, but it's up to you. I really don't know like how to use bombs. I guess you could put them near, you could put them in between these mines and collectors. That way if they go mass goblins, then you know the goblins will take a lot of damage. I'm an active player, so I don't really have that much building up in my mines and collectors. God, my tongue is really hurting from the pineapple I ate. Anyway, yeah, so if you're an active player, you might want to put them on the inside of your base. Okay, next is spring traps. Spring traps, in my opinion, are some of the best traps that there are, especially against hogs and giants. You want to put these traps in between towers. See, like after, okay, say somebody puts giants down here. The giant is going to come, it's going to take the cannon out, they're going to take the archer tower out, and then they're going to go onto this cannon here. And in the process, I can get up to 9 giants thrown off the field, because one spring trap does, I think, up to 3 units, yeah. If it's with, well, 3 giants or hogs. If it's with these other guys, I think it's less. I mean, more. I think they can fling off, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something, but... So yeah, spring traps and giant bombs. Giant bombs have a lot of damage, but the higher level you, like the stronger your opponents are, the lesser chance you have of actually taking out units just with one giant bomb. So I have both of them stacked here right next to each other so that they do more damage, especially against hogs. This base actually is an anti-hog base. It's called the Ringus, R-I-N-G-U-S. You can look it up on Google if you want. Excuse me. Yeah, so giant bombs, they're good closer together. They do decent damage against units with a lot of hit points, like you know, giants and hogs. They can also take out wizards in one shot, so it's pretty sweet when that happens. Wizards. Wizards are so powerful, damage-wise, but their hit points are pretty bad. Excuse me. Okay, so that's it for traps, I think. Collectors. A lot of times I see people with collectors and barracks or even army camps within their walls. That's just bad. You don't want to keep those buildings in your base. They don't defend anything. They don't retain resources. Well, collectors and mines do. So if you're the type of player who only signs in once a day or once every few days, you might want to put your collectors and mines, you know, behind a wall. But if you play regularly, it's not that important. Decorations, they don't really do anything. They might block opponents from putting units right down on the center, but other than that, they're just pretty, and you know, you could create like optical illusions not illusions, but it kind of confuses attackers, I guess, when you have a whole bunch of decorations. They've got to kind of process, you know, oh, is that a building or is that just a decoration? So there's a very, very small advantage there. Yeah, I've got these awesome little flags here, Japanese and American flags, because those are my nationalities. And I'm also a pirate too, just in case you guys didn't know. I'm a pirate. That's right. Yeah. Okay, the next thing is walls. Walls are actually one of the most important parts of your base. They pretty much characterize your base. You know, everything you like, any kind of layout you want, you need good walls, right? They need to be strong. If you have low walls, if you're rushing your town hall and all of your defenses, and if you're keeping your walls low, then a lot of giants might be able to get through easily without even too many wall breakers. So upgrade your walls, and create as many compartments to your base as you can. Like this base, let's see how many it has. Well, these are broken compartments because the wall's open there, but I'm just going to count those two. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's got like 13 or 14 compartments. This middle compartment here has all the important stuff in it. Well, the dark elixir mainly. So yeah, try to have at least 10 compartments if you're past like Town Hall 6 or 7. If you don't have enough wall, of course, you can't manage to have too many compartments, but the more compartments you have, the longer it's going to take for mass giants to get through your base. Yeah. By rule of thumb, I try to max every single building in my base before I go to the next town hall. A very big mistake that I see a lot of players make, even pretty good players make, is that they get impatient and they upgrade their town hall. And, you know, upgrading your town hall allows you to have more mines, more collectors, better army units, better army upgrades. But what you have to realize is that there's a loot penalty in this game. I don't really remember all the stats perfectly, but I'll just say the general concept is that if you're Town Hall 9, for example, if you raid another Town Hall 9, you get 100% of the 25% or whatever the limit is per base, and I think mines and collectors don't have a limit, but I think you get 25% of everything that's in the storages or something like that, and there's also a cap on Dark Elixir, like you can't get any more than 2,500 depending on the Town Hall level, blah blah blah. Okay, so where was I going with that? Yeah, Town Hall 9. So I can raid another Town Hall 9 for 100% of the loot that's available. I can raid a Town Hall 8 for 90%. But when I go to Town Hall 7, I can only get 50% of the loot. And when I go to Town Hall 6, it's 40%, and then I think it goes down to like 25, 10%, blah, blah, blah. So basically, if you're rushing your Town Hall, your base is going to be weak in comparison to what you should be able to loot or defend from. So if you're like Town Hall 9, and if another Town Hall 9 comes along, for example, I'm a Town Hall 9. I'm an actual Town Hall 9 because all my buildings are pretty high for my Town Hall level. If I come along to another guy's base and he has a Town Hall 9, I get 100% of the loot available, which means he's like, you know, in pretty big trouble if his defenses are not up to par. And also when he raids, he needs to go after people who are like Town Hall, you know, 8 or 9 if he wants to get a decent amount of that loot. Of course, he could go for abandoned bases, and that's pretty much all he can do, because if he rushes Town Hall 9, he's never going to be able to take on other Town Hall 9s like this. He won't even get through half of my base with lower units, right? If his army's behind on upgrades. So, for that reason, whatever you do, do not rush Town Hall. Keep it till last. The only thing I don't upgrade all the way before going to the next Town Hall level is walls. Right now, the max level is 9. So if I get all of my towers upgraded, and if I get all my walls upgraded to at least level 8, then I'll go to Town Hall 10. That's the rule that I've been following. It's up to you. You know, some people just want to gem a lot. Some people are rich and they have lots of money that they can blow in the game. So you know, it's really up to you how you want to play. But I'm just saying it is going to bite you later if you upgrade your Town Hall too quickly. Okay, so walls, army camps. Okay, army camps and spell factories. If you're a player that attacks a lot, that likes to attack non-stop, then I would go for army camp upgrades, spell factory, laboratory upgrades quickly, because you're attacking a lot. It's not as important to have a good defense if you're, you know, constantly bringing in money. Whereas if you're the player who just likes to sit and wait, then you want to put more of a focus on your towers naturally. air bombs. Yeah, seeking air mines. These guys, air bombs, it's good to spread them out because these do splash damage. They're good against minions mainly and balloons. I see some people clumping up a whole bunch of air bombs, but a lot of times it gets triggered on, for example, one healer or something, and it's kind of a waste. So I would suggest to set air bombs as far apart from each other. Well, not too far apart, but spread them out a little bit. I like to put seeking air mines next to air defenses because a lot of times players will start their giant healer attack from where the air defense is. They'll try to take that out and then put the healer down because then they'll think the healer is safe because there's no air defense. But then if you put a seeking air mine there, then kaboom, they're in for a surprise, right? Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I think I've worn out my vocal cords for now. And my pineapple tongue is getting gnarly. I'm serious, like the left side of my tongue is numb right now, where it's just tingling and it feels really weird. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. So I just went over the basics of base setup, have a lot of compartments, upgrade your splash damage and air defense early, maybe splash damage above all, mortars, wizard towers. Oh, I forgot to cover storages. Okay, storages, you want to put these anywhere between the pretty close to the center to around the middle of your base. If you're banking, for example, tons of extra elixir, and if you don't really need to save up elixir, then you could just go ahead and put them, closer to the outside or even on the outside to trigger people to attack you. Put it next to your town hall if you're a farming base. But if not, I like to keep it around the middle because you want to protect your loot, right? I generally try to not put these on the very outside. Yeah, so wizard towers are generally next to the storages normally when I make my bases. And you can tell in this base here, because it's an anti-hog base, I have this ring of buildings that go around, and this ring here is not, they're not defensive towers. None of these are, because if they were, then the hogs would get lured into the center of the base. This space is designed so the hogs will just go around, they'll get hit by all the traps, and in the process, they'll be shot at by the expo. So, that's pretty good. I've been attacked by mass hogs a couple times, and there were some epic defenses because of it. Okay, well that's it for now, guys. I don't want to bore you with my blabbering, so I'm going to shut up now and let you clash on. If there's anything you noticed that I missed or anything, please comment, rate, subscribe, like, share, delete. I'll see you next time. Peace.